How are you today, Kevin?
Good. How are you, T-Dog?
I'm doing great, Kevin. So tell me a little bit about the plot of our favorite book, The Sun Also Rises.
Alright, so we start off with Jake describing Cone in the beginning of the novel. And
Very interesting character throughout.
yeah, I know. You could sort of see how Cone is easily affected by those around him. He goes in on his Jewish background and how when Cone went to Princeton, that sort of like brought him down because people, I guess, weren't accepting of his Jewish background. Yeah, so later on, Cone went to New York for some novel that he wrote, and it was very well received. And when he came back, Jake says that he was a completely different person just because his novel was liked.
So tell me a little bit, now that we discussed Khan, a little bit of our main character, Jake.
All right, so we have to like inference about Jake's character because all the descriptions of the characters come from him. So we have to like inference from his
Like his various conversations with
Yeah,
other
we
people,
have to
how he
inference
carries
from him.
himself. Let's talk about Jake's complicated relationship with Brett.
All right.
Brett, as we know, is one of the other main characters of the novel. Very interesting character, if we should
Yes.
say. She gets around with a lot of gentlemen, as we see in the novel, but not for the wrong reasons, I should say. It's more of because of her complicated relationship with the main character, Jake. Because as we find out throughout the novel, mostly in the beginning and then it like teeters into the end, it's kind of like throughout. Jake and Brett are, in love, and like the emotional kind of love. But there is the issue, as we know, a little touchy, of Jake's, I guess, inability to have a physical relationship with Brett due to the injury that he suffered during the war. And while this isn't a big deal for Jake, who obviously has coped with his injury, it is apparently a deal breaker for Brett. And she feels almost as if she can't commit to the relationship, which I found interesting because if Jake's able to do it, I thought that Brett would be able to do it if they truly had love. But so I guess like the next part of the story takes place when Jake and his friend Bill shows up from America.
Yeah.
And this is after the incident between Cone and Brett. Cone obviously fancies Brett. He doesn't have any idea that she's just going around with tons of guys. He thinks that she is the one for him. But that happened before the whole journey that is described in the novel. And so Jake meets up with Bill, one of his American friends, and Bill is also going down to the fiesta with the whole crew of characters. But before everybody goes to Pamplona, Bill and Jake decide to go on a little fishing trip, which was, I guess, their way of relieving stress. And here, they drank wine. It was kind of like an escape from their world.
Yep.
Which I think that was the whole purpose of it. It was just an escape. And
You see that a lot in the novel. They try to
yeah.
escape from their problems.
But anyway, the next part of the novel takes place in the great Pamplona. What did you find intriguing about Cone's interactions with the crew in Pamplona?
All right, so
Like, was he hostile towards anybody?
I would say Mike was hostile to Cone. You like talking about how
Did it say in the novel that Cone was acting like kind of in a superior manner?
yeah, that's what Jake and Bill said. Like they were turned off by his Jewish superiority. It was, but I don't know. I feel like Jake was kind of still mad about him finding out that Cone was with Brett earlier. Like they had that little fling. I feel like that's why he was a little turned off. But yeah, they were saying that he was acting a little superior to everybody else. Maybe that was because he had been with Brett and he thought like they actually had something.
Keep in mind the whole time, what's his name? Cone does not know that everybody else knows that he was with Brett in San Sebastian.
Yeah, he thinks it's low key.
Bill, Jake, and Mike all know.
Yep.
And Cone has no idea. But pretty much in Pamplona, they're kind of just like. It kind of seemed to me that it was kind of just like a long couple chapters about them enjoying their time, which to me sounded like very exotic to me. but also like not only exotic in the fact that they're in like some random like cool Spanish place, like looking at the Bulls,
Yeah.
but exotic in the fact that it's a rare opportunity, because it kind of seemed like they weren't living normal lives like we do.
No.
Like I don't know about you,
No.
Kevin, but I can't just go on vacation,
No.
and I don't know people in my life who could just go on vacation.
Yeah, and enjoy a whole
Seems
fiesta.
strange to me.
Brett and Romero had a like natural attraction, and like it was Romero's people.
Stop messing with the mics, Kevin.
My bad.
But this causes a large conflict in the novel when our main man Khan finds out
Big
about
fight.
it, and he
Knocks them
he
out.
just like it's crazy. He was looking for Brett. Khan, as we saw in the beginning of the novel, can be irrational at times.
Yep.
And he knocked both Jake and Mike out. Mike gave him the answer before he got knocked out, but he still got knocked out. And then Khan goes to Romero and beats Romero up too while she's with Brett. And this becomes an issue because Romero is like the star bullfighter.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like the whole wrap up to the story, just like them watching the Bulls and then Brett leaving with Romero. So one of the next things I want to talk about, Kevin, is themes. I would like to kind of start this off, and there's a theme about love, and how in the novel it's really mistreated. Because when we think of love, we think of something really special, really strong, but the novel is kind of just like tossed around. The true love was never really acted upon, and it was only like,
unrealized love.
yeah, it was kind of just it was more of lust, not love. And this is also seen with Cone, who I think personally it's a combination of lust and love for Cone.
Yeah.
It's just overall the next theme that I would like to. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much,
Yeah,
but
no,
I really feel like it ties in. Is the lack of morals seen, and this is not only seen through the physical relationships that Brett is having with all these men, but also seen in the alcohol consumption.
Yeah.
Every single scene
Drinking everywhere.
is drinking. Like they're hanging out in the beginning, there's wine. They're hanging out in San Sebastian, there's wine. They're fishing, there's wine. They're at the festival, there's wine. It's a constant throughout the novel. Hemingway is purposely putting it in every situation.
Yeah. So that ties into the theme of escape also, because using the alcohol is a sort of like way escape, and also how when Bill and Jake, they went away on their fishing trip away from the others by themselves, away from their other group. So yeah, you can see the theme of escape also prevalent in the novel from their problems.
Yeah. And then let's move on a little bit to style. So throughout the novel, it's kind of just like really fast paced. I would attribute this to the dialogue used in the novel. It's like there are sometimes whole pages devoted solely to dialogue. I have some of these. Kevin, do you mind if I take your book?
No problem.
See, on 104, it's when Jake, Con, and Bill are placing bets on whether Mike and Brett will arrive. As we know, they don't, and Con loses the bet. But the action is kept on going. As you can see, here, I'll point it out to you, Con, right here. There is constant dialogue.
Yep.
And you see that?
2 pages.
That is how, it's kind of like the style of his writing this, of Hemingway's writing this now, which is constant action revealed through large amounts of dialogue. And this could also be seen in other pages, such as on page 203. It's the same situation. Try not to talk too much about that. But as you can see, Kevin, it's just like constant dialogue. Yeah?
Yep.
So do you have anything to add on style?
I would say style also, the characterization, how I said earlier, it works through Jake's eyes. So all the other characters, we learn about them through Jake's perception of them. How we learned about Cone, how we learned about Brett, all of them is through Jake's eyes.
Yeah, nice. So we'll just end this little podcast off with a little recommendation, if you will.
Okay.
While I enjoyed the novel, and I thought it had some good ideas, I don't know if I would recommend this to a friend, because I personally did not find the plot to be very engaging. It was less of a story and more just friends hanging out.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I wanted to do that, Kevin, I'd go have fun with you.
Exactly. I would enjoy it. Let's go partying in every city.
So would you recommend the book?
I personally wouldn't either because, as you said, it just seemed like the novel was the characters going from city to city, partying. And
Yeah,
everything.
seemed a little crazy.
Not really much happened, so.
All right, well, thanks for listening. We're going to sign off the podcast now. My name was Thomas Kenny, and this is my partner, Kevin Jorge, and this is the AP Lit Sun Also Rises podcast. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, guys.